Hey, what's going on, folks? It is Rosie here, and today I've got some predictions for the upcoming Fallout TV show for you. First off, there's a lot of opinions going around right now. A lot of fans are afraid that this show is going to mess up the established lore, and others think it's going to be a nice addition to the franchise that we know and love. So what's my take on all this? Do I think this show is going to be successful? Yes I do. I believe this Fallout TV show is going to be the sensation of spring 2024. So why do I think this? Well, from everything I've seen leading up to the show so far, I'm seeing all the right signs here. So what exactly are these signs? Well, the first one I'll discuss is it looks like they've spent money in the right places. The bulk of the budget appears to have went towards production quality, specifically the special effects and the sets. That right there is the right approach to making a show like this. When new sci-fi and fantasy action-adventure projects succeed, they usually do it by spending the first season establishing the setting and going with mainly lesser-known actors. Game of Thrones is a prime example of this, though now a lot of those actors are huge names because of how successful that show was. And now House of the Dragon has picked up the torch and is off to a great start as well. A recent show that didn't do that well was Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that wasn't so much due to bad budgeting as much as that team just wasn't given nearly enough money, and it shows. The production quality was noticeably bad for a sci-fi action-adventure, which was a huge part of why that show just didn't live up to its potential. Luckily, Fallout seems to have been very well budgeted, but it takes more than that to make a good action-adventure show. They also need to be well written. We'll only know how good the writing is once we see the show, but from what I've seen so far, I've got to say I'm compelled. There's a number of things to take an interest in, and we'll talk about some of them in this video. Also, this is very much a passion project from what I can see. Jonathan Nolan, Graham Wagner, Geneva Robertson-Dworet, hope I'm pronouncing that right. From what I can see, all these people seem very passionate about Fallout. Jonathan Nolan is a really good director, and he wants this show to be great, which I see as a very, very good sign. It's also good to know that Todd Howard has been personally involved in this production as well. That quenched any fears I had about this show not remaining true to the Fallout I know and love. Lastly, there's not much competition for shows like this right now. Major sci-fi and fantasy projects tend to be summer and holiday season releases because that's when you maximize merch sales. Though sometimes it is a good idea to go outside of those windows, especially for newer projects, because it makes it so you don't have to compete against shows like Stranger Things or The Mandalorian. Looking at this April, there really isn't much going on. Shogun has a few episodes left, The Bad Batch has until May 1st, but outside of that, there really isn't much happening. So come April 11th, there's going to be a lot of people looking for a show exactly like Fallout, and I think that's going to draw a lot of non-gamers in, and they are going to absolutely fall in love with this series. There is one questionable decision about this production that I will bring up here. The series is going to drop all at once on April 12th, as in every episode will become available then. I think that is a mistake. They should use a weekly release schedule to build up some hype between episodes. That's how unknown shows get big. Someone overhears two people talking about what happened in the last episode and making predictions about the next one. They ask, hey, what show are you guys talking about? And they say, Fallout, it's a great show, you need to see it. So for me personally, on one hand, getting them all at once makes my job as a content creator a little easier, but on the other hand, I feel like the viewership would be higher for both me and the show if they released on a weekly schedule. Now let's make some predictions. Jonathan Nolan said that the factions will be chasing an artifact that has the potential to radically change the power dynamic in this world. So what is this artifact? Another YouTuber, Synonymous, suggested that it could be a Vault-Tec Gek, which for those who don't know is a little kit that can create life. I think that is a strong possibility, but I'll point out that it's been done before. The second and third Fallout games both have large storylines that revolve around tracking down and obtaining Geks. That being said, a lot of the people that are going to watch this show are going to be unfamiliar with the games. Like I was saying before, I expect that a lot of non-gamers are going to watch this show, and I think that a lot of the younger Fallout fans will only be familiar with Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. So from that standpoint, using a Gek again would be a way to use a plot that is known to be effective on a new audience while also playing to fan service for the nostalgic fans. Because how many nostalgic fans are really going to be nitpicky about using this plot again? So long as they're presented with new characters and new situations, it should balance itself out. Furthermore, this artifact being a Gek would make sense of some of the other predictions I'm going to make in this video, as I do think some of this show's conflicts will pertain to biology. But I'll throw another idea in here for the heck of it. Maybe it's some sort of weapon. Nolan did say that it could change the power dynamic in this world, which a weapon could do. Also, we know that one of the factions is the Brotherhood of Steel, and I don't think I need to explain why they would want a powerful weapon. There's also what looks like a militant group of Wastelanders, which is perhaps what's left of the NCR, and they could be after this weapon as well. I'm going to mention Synonymous again here, because one key thing I think that he is right about is that this artifact is in Vault 4, because that makes sense as the thing that's going to tie the ghoul into everything. I'm thinking that Lucy is going to recruit the ghoul to her team perhaps at the end of episode 6, because that way he could help her get the artifact from Vault 4, because he knows where it is. I'll also add here that it's probably built into the hill that we see him on when the bombs fall. My guess is that he's going to have a facing his past kind of arc in Vault 4, and this will be the 7th episode, leading up to the finale. One thing I could see happening that would be very dark is if they found the little girl he was carrying as a feral ghoul. In summary, for this prediction, I'll agree with Synonymous that the artifact is probably in Vault 4, but I'm not positive it's going to be a Gek, though I'm leaning towards it's going to be. Next up, what the heck is happening in Lucy's vault? From the promos, we can gather that Lucy is preparing to get married, but during the ceremony, nearly everyone collapses for some reason. And in what appears to be a different scene, there's someone falling from what appears to be a pretty high ledge, and this guy just yelling. Based on the wedding and some other shots where everyone in the vault seems to be pretty chill, I don't think this is some sort of political plot against Lucy and her father, because the wedding doesn't look like a battlefield. It's as if everyone just drops dead or unconscious where they were. I mean, there's people still sitting at the table, so this wasn't like a big panic, everyone just collapsed. So my guess here is that this pertains to whatever experiments Vault-Tec had planned for Vault 33. Maybe they wanted to see how the residents would respond to portions of the population exhibiting strange behavior. A more specific idea I'll throw in here is that maybe this pertains to FEV, maybe Vault-Tec is testing the effects of prolonged exposure to it. That would explain the sudden, seemingly violent behavior of the yelling guy. But whatever's going on seems to only be affecting certain members of the Vault, so how could Vault-Tec have managed that? I guess maybe that's part of the experiments, maybe the idea is to see who's immune to FEV or not, or maybe Lucy and her father are just too valuable because they're the overseer and his daughter. Regardless, if whatever's causing this situation is biological, that would explain why Lucy would be in search of a Gek, wouldn't it, as that could solve a biological problem. So I guess my prediction here is that the reason Lucy is leaving the vault is because she thinks she can find something out in the wastelands that can fix the vault. I guess that's the plot to Fallout 1, isn't it? But I guess they're using it again. I'll be brief with this one. The airship that we see looks a lot like the Pridwin from Fallout 4, doesn't it? So I see a lot of fans saying, oh, it's the Pridwin, this proves that the Brotherhood ending is the canon one. However, this actually is not the case. Apparently this is a different ship called the Caswinon. Both these names come from King Arthur legends. The Pridwin is Arthur's boat, and the Caswinon is the bank that Arthur wrecks the boat on. So based on that, my guess here is that this new ship represents the Brotherhood moving on after Arthur Maxon's demise at the hands of the sole survivor. Knowing Bethesda and Fallout 4, I think it's more than likely that the canon ending to the game is the Minutemen invading the Institute and the Railroad still existing, but not being the faction used for the invasion, which fits with what I just said about the Brotherhood. Now let's talk about the guy with the glasses. Apparently his name is Wilzig, and the dog seems to be with him. In the Philly scene, the ghoul says that multiple agencies have put out a bounty on Wilzig, and from the rest of what I can gather, he seems to be some sort of medical doctor or scientist, which likely pertains to why so many people are after him. I've seen some speculation that he and the dog could both be synths, and that could be true. However, I'm not sure they would lean so much on Fallout 4 for Season 1 of this show. This first season should be about establishing the setting, introducing this world that is Fallout to people that haven't seen it before. And I think that going into the intense AI themes of Fallout 4 makes it just a little too much, makes it too much to swallow, at least for a Season 1. But you know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it'll be just the right amount. And there is reason to believe that that is the direction they're going in here. The dog's name is CX404. Fans have been very quick to point out that that does look a lot like a synth designation, but the format is a little off. However, it's very possible that that's simply a smokescreen so we don't notice the connection instantly. At this point, I am leaning more towards they are Sims because there are a few sources that allude to Wilzig's head as if it's like an item. Like, they talk about it as if it comes off and becomes an item that's in someone's possession. Apparently, this is because there's a secret in his head. Well, if he were human, removing his head to obtain a secret wouldn't work out, would it? Also, he doesn't seem to die, at least not early on. So what's probably going to happen is he'll lose his head a bit after losing his foot in Philly, and he'll get a new body somehow. And of course, the most logical explanation as to how that could work is he is a synth. I do have another idea as to what could be going on with Wilzig and the dog. Perhaps the C in the dog's name stands for clone, and Wilzig's expertise is in cloning. That would explain the appeal of capturing him along with obtaining a Gek, because the factions could force him to do something with the Gek. For example, the Brotherhood could use him to make clones for their army. So in summary here, my prediction is that Wilzig is some sort of medical scientist, and the factions are looking to capture him because either his expertise or the secret in his head can further their interests somehow. Lastly, I have a prediction about the Brotherhood guy Maximus. In the trailer, we hear him say that he joined the Brotherhood to hurt the people that hurt him. So who are these people? My first idea was that maybe as a child he had a run-in with some feral ghouls and now has a distaste for all ghouls, which if true would create an interesting dynamic between him and the ghoul as in Walton Goggins' character. However, I don't think it's ghouls because people that hate ghouls tend to dehumanize them, and Maximus does call these enemies of his people. My next idea was that maybe it could be the Enclave, after all that is the Brotherhood's historic enemy. However, there's something that fits a little better. I think the people that hurt Maximus are the NCR, because there's one scene that appears to be a battle between the Brotherhood and the NCR at the Griffith Observatory. So I'm going with sometime during the events of the East Coast fallouts, the NCR declined in power on the West Coast. And I also think that Bethesda used Kellogg to hint at this during Dangerous Minds when he mentioned the NCR. Perhaps they suffered a bad military defeat, became corrupt, or otherwise lost the trust of the people they were governing. Regardless of what exactly took place, it seems to have harmed Maximus. My guess is he lost his family. Then he joined up with the Brotherhood, and that became his new family. Well, that's a wrap, folks. Those are my predictions for the Fallout TV show. Like I said, I think this is going to be the sensation of spring 2024, and I'll even add I expect this show to be a strong contender for Best Adaptation at this year's Game Awards. So, do you agree with my predictions, or do you think I missed something? Let me know in the comments below. Please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and share. That all helps me out a whole lot. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.